Hey guys, it's me, your hostess Liberty, and welcome back to another episode of I'm a Secret Roottree. The Rootttrees are dead, that's the one. We're back in Roottree Mania. Yeah. Oh, we're getting dings and dangs and dongs. Last time I think we got another 4 put together. Sorry, I'm a little yawny. Let's check the board. Yes, we did get a few more put on the board. We are looking at all sorts of stuff. Did we get any new? We did not get any new. Alright, let's check out the 6 pieces thing. Do we need to look into... Rubber Ducky! Be a friend. New Edison. Mary Beth's birth name. So, wait, what was that? The spider search for New Edison. Well, did I look for New Edison? Where was New Edison from? Oh, the record label, right. New Edison was a small record label based in Los Angeles that existed for a few years in the 40s. Should we check here? New Edison. Seems that New Edison Records and Modern Music Monthly had quite a lot of overlap. There are countless advertisements for various covers of popular songs, and they all start to blend together. When you scan the results for anything other than advertisements, you do find a very brief blurb from when New Edison was sued by Edison Records. By the time the magazine had covered it, it seems like the lawsuit was settled out of court and New Edison was destined to shut down. Right, New Edison was... because Edison was the guy who married Mary Beth. But his name wasn't actually Edison. It was Aiken or Akon or something like that. It was, I think it was Germanic? Something. The owner, who went by Sterling Edison, right, Sterling Ato or whatever, said he'd likely create a new record company, but there's no evidence anywhere that he did. That was the last mention of him. So, New Edison... Right. It raced to release cover records of songs that were gaining in popularity. According to a website about the history of recorded sound, it was named after its founder, Sterling Edison. Edsel. That's right, his real name was Edsel. Okay, it got sued by Thomas Edison. Estate. Mary Beth Clementine on sites about old records. One collector says that the Holy Grail is a re-release of the old rugged cross. Wait, do we have her... Mary Beth? Yeah, we got Mary Beth. And Edsel Sterling. Yeah, we got them on there. What are you trying to tell me, Rubber Ducky? Wait a minute. We didn't finish reading. Another site claims that the police need to be called to New Edison Records after... okay. Right. Says that the first edition was originally published before she legally changed her name. So we need the old rugged cross. The original version. Alright. Periodicals. Old rugged cross. Mary Beth Clementine. Mary Beth Quaker. Ooh. Mary Beth Quaker. So her original name was Mary Beth Quaker. Okay. Alright. Now, why does that matter? No? Edison? Okay, Mary Beth. Let me check. Okay. Alright. I was just checking. Butler County News. Okay. Business Watch, probably not. Piketty, not sure. Silver Screen. Nope. Starlet, absolutely not. Team Blast, definitely not. Chef's Signature, no. That was worth looking into. Okay. So her original name was Mary Beth Quaker. I see. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I've looked into her children. Yes, so I've got first their names. Oh, okay, so we should search for them. I didn't think they were going to be any importance, really, but sure. Let's look for Stuart and then Mark. We'll look at Stuart Clementine first. You managed to find Stuart Clementine listed as one of many names. Okay, so Mark. Oh, Crocodile Clementine. What the hell? The infamy list. It's a massive list of criminals who are known for odd crimes. Although Mark's nickname would imply that he hails from Florida, does Florida have crocodiles? I thought they had alligators. There is a difference. Maybe they do get salties up there? Or freshies? Freshwater crocs? Would imply he hails from Florida. A lot of others on the list come from there. Or Australia. Mark is listed as being from Los Angeles. He has a pretty big entry. He seems like a real piece of work. Basket Baby. Ooh. What the fuck is that? Most everything else comes from his adulthood. He lost his job in 75 as a pilot for a regional airline after he tried to board the wrong airline's plane. He was drunk. He was charged with trespassing and assault. In 82, he was arrested for transporting smuggled animals over the Canadian and Mexican borders for an illegal reptile supplier, not summoner, in Los Angeles. He was apparently quite successful the first 4 years, but caught when he had to make an emergency landing in Portland after he was bitten by a crocodile, hence the nickname. The Portland Telegraph is credited as having given him this nickname. His mugshot from his incident has been added to your photos. In 93, he was released on parole, but his freedom didn't last long. He was arrested in 94 for violating it in an attempt to visit his daughter's graduation. He famously punched the principal, a man named Billy Sims. Okay, Billy Sims? Huh? Okay, let me just... Where's trivia? We need... Billy Sims. Punched by... Wait, no, this is Mary Beth stuff. Mark? Crocodile Clementine. Criminal punched a guy named Billy Sims. Has a daughter. Basket Baby of 1950. Okay. Was he like left on a doorstep? Okay, what is the Basket Baby? Focus about true stories focus around, on and around religion mentioned that in 1950 a gospel singer named Mary once found herself dealing with a real-life baby Moses. Apparently she was a rather prominent supporter, Mary Beth, of the concept of adoption, and someone decided to test how much. They left a baby on her doorstep in a basket. According to the site, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own son. Although it wasn't national news, in many circuits he became known as the Basket Baby and went on tour with her as he grew up. None of the websites state who the woman or baby were, likely to prevent people from looking into either of them too closely. You know that it's Mary Beth Clementine, who would later be shunned due to her personal life and her son Mark I think this kind of thing, game dev Chan, Kun, son, game dev son. These things where you're talking, where the thing is talking. Well, no, the whole thing is talking straight to you because it's a summary, right? That just feels more personal because it feels more like it's talking straight to you instead of like just giving a basic blurb. I was going to say maybe italicize that or something to make it different, but you know what? Never mind. The whole thing's summarizing for you. It's good. It's fine. I was thinking because it relates to the things you already say, it's telling you stuff that you already know and using that information already in it. Whatever. It's fine. Okay, Bill Sims. Billy Sims. Bill Sims? Did I? Wait, what's his name? Billy Sims. Billy Sims. Okay, periodicals. No, no. What the heck? They said he was pretty well known. There's nothing written about it? Really? Let me double check this. Oh, double M. Billy Sims is the principal of Sandstone Canyon High School who had his 15 minutes of fame in '94 when he was punched by Crocodile Clementine at a graduation ceremony. Every news organisation from trustworthy to tabloids seemed to have their own take on the altercation. It wasn't the punch that captured the nation's attention. It was Billy Sims' matter-of-fact response to the threat and his comments afterwards, as heard in a now-famous audio clip from someone who was recording. Billy saw Mark hop onto the graduation stage and said, "Sir, you'll want to sit down or we'll have a problem." At that point, Crocodile reportedly sucker-punched him in the face. Billy, apparently only slightly dazed, said, "All right, sir, I guess we'll have a problem." Clementine tried to throw another punch, but Sims anticipated it, performed a maneuver that spectators described as a wrestling move mixed with a backward somersault, which immediately brought both men to the floor, with Sims straddling Clementine, keeping him neutralized. As security arrived, the recording captured someone asking, "How'd you do that?" And Sims' response was famously, "Trust me, I'm as surprised as anyone." Okay. That doesn't really tell me much now, does it? Well, he got punched. The criminal element. Multnomah. Alright. We found his mugshot online. It's Mark. Okay, Mark. Look, Mark. Let me just give you your... There you go, bud. I don't know that we're gonna get another picture for you. We don't know anything about his wife. Wait, he's a criminal, right? Pilot? Yeah, pilot. Oh, there we go. Hell yeah. Okay, Stuart, Clementine, Mary Beth, and Joanna. Right, because we had her job wrong. Oh, someone's knocking. Hello?
Sam reached out to me finally. I think I have you to thank for that one.
Yeah?
My family's in a bit of a rough patch. Even though the candy is selling better than ever, everyone is fighting over the trust. The majority of us want to dissolve it. On paper, it seems like the right decision. The arguments about what to do next are endless and heated. More than a few Rootttrees are worried about losing their wealth. I don't think we deserve it more than anyone else. I love my family, my wife, my daughters, even my son, who I hardly ever get to see. I want to keep them safe and secure. but I didn't do anything to deserve this fortune. Hell, I probably deserve it less than most. It took me way too long to get my life together.
It's not about deserving, though. Okay, let me put this out here. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance in the situation of rich people getting rich by birth, right? Wealthy, sorry. Rich is you can buy a car that's a big spend car. Wealthy is you can buy a fleet of cars. Okay? So wealthy, they're wealthy. So here's the thing, all right? I think it depends what you do with the money. Hear me out. I don't think the Clansaid Trust is a bad thing per se. It's obviously set up to benefit only the family members. And I think that's fine to build something for the future members of your family. But I think there should be a cap point from which they draw from it, right? So say it's got billions in, let's say it's got $1 billion in there, right? Or more. No one person should be able to pull out that $1 billion. They should be able to, I don't know, I wouldn't say $1 million, maybe $500,000, $500,000. Maybe they can pull up to $500,000 out over the course of their whole lifetime, right? Or a quarter, maybe twice as much as they put in, or half as much as they put in. It's hard to balance, right? Because some people are going to be able to, like, some people are going to have great jobs and they're going to supply more and they'd be able to put in more. Some might want to follow dreams that just don't end up working out, right? And the idea is to ensure that everybody is taken care of. Everybody in the family is taken care of. And because it's such a huge family with so many varied interests and so many different jobs and stuff like that, it's not like they're not working. They've all got their own jobs and stuff. They're not relying fully on the trust, and that's a good thing. It's there as a fallback, and it's there to run the properties and whatnot, that the company and whatnot, so that it's there for them in the future if anything goes wrong. So somebody, like, if they go bankrupt or if they have a car accident where they're paralyzed from the legs down, they can get their houses retrofitted and afford healthcare, right? It's there for when things go wrong. And I don't think that's a bad thing to have. And it's not like anybody can draw straight from it like 100,000, 200,000 at a time or shit like that, right? It's there to protect the company, the interests, and the family. And I don't think that's a bad setup per se. But there are going to be shitty people among the family members who think that that's their big payday. And I don't trust this idea of dismantling the trust. Because the trust, yes, it's failed in some regards, but it's also upheld all these years in order to ensure that the family, any member of the family who is a part of the Rootttrees, can pull on it if needed, if things go wrong, if situations occur. It's a fallback for them. It's a crutch. And a lot of work through various generations went into making sure the company and the trust stays up there. It's not like it just floated down and down and down and just magically gained interest. Like, they had one period where it was all just fucked up because that one guy took over as president and just kind of fucked everything up with his caviar flavor, which he was adamant about adding, right? So, and also it helps that the president can't take home money. He gets paid as much as he earns or whatever, right? And it's not like he can just take money out of the trust and whatnot and work it. I don't think the trust is a bad idea. I don't think being rich in and of itself is a bad thing, as long as you're not uber rich. It's when you can afford fleets of cars that you're gonna get looked at. The thing is, society has a crab bucket mentality where people want to drag you down to their level instead of lifting others up to their own level. Like they see somebody higher than them in the bucket and they want to pull them down instead of reaching down and lifting the other crabs up to where they are so that everybody else can try and get back up to where that other person is. Right? And it's stupid because you should be able to reach down and lift up. And we should be encouraged to reach down and lift each other up instead of, pulling the other people down. Ideally, everybody wants to get on the same level as the guy at the top. Or maybe a little lower than, but not by much. No need to be greedy or anything. But the thing is, usually the person at the top is busy pushing everybody else down because he wants all the good food at the top for himself, when there's plenty enough there for everyone else to get up and also eat, right? So it's not a bad thing. It's just when you get that one person at the top who's being a complete shithead, that it becomes a bad thing, because then it tips over and becomes worse. And the Clanseed Trust is basically trying to make it so that everybody in the family gets a piece of the cake instead of just one person or just the person in charge of the company. It's a difficult situation because sure, he can dismantle the trust, but then where does all the money go? Who owns the company? Who gets the proceeds from the company? You're the president now, so does that mean you get to own the company? You can just sell it off? You're in charge. You were put in charge. Does that mean that you now own it? You can sell it and you can take all the money for yourself? Whereas you can't do that with the Clanseed Trust. It doesn't allow for that. And yes, the Clanseed Trust is a little shitty when it comes to different people. So maybe instead of deleting it completely, add a few little allowances to it. Retrofit it a bit for the times. Update it a little. Spruce it up. Make it better, not just completely delete it. It's like when people say, it's like why people hate traditions, right? Some traditions really worth keeping. Some traditions need a little bit of editing to fit with the times. And other traditions can go in the trash, right? Or can be recycled. It's a recyclist economy nowadays. So I think it's a very delicate situation. I don't trust this guy for saying he wants to remove it completely. Not because I don't fully trust him, but because even if he is a trustworthy guy, that doesn't mean everybody else is trustworthy or who will come after him, right? Even when Guy was in charge, there wasn't a lot he could do except have a lot of affairs, right? He couldn't really steal money much. Like, he stole 50 grand. Oh, wow. The company is worth well more than that. And we don't even know if he stole that. He just paid that out to somebody for their service, which back then is quite a bit. So yeah, it's I think you're stupid. Stupid.
Okay, enough about me. Here's the deal. I can't stop the majority from voting one way or another. If you keep passing along potential root trees, I'll keep adding them to the list. On the other hand, there's been some leaps forward in genetics.
Oh?
It may sound like science fiction, but we can actually determine who's in the family just by testing their DNA. What you've done so far has been very useful. Just keep filling out the tree and we'll prepare for the tests.
Okay, I have an idea. I have a thought. Right? I have a thought that Mark is actually... Because we don't know that Mark is actually related at all to anybody, right? He was a doorstep baby. But I think maybe Mark is the child of somebody. Like, Grandpa here was blonde. It's possible. It's possible. I'll just put that out there. Okay, Rubber Ducky, clue me up. Right. That missing Piketty. This. So, where can we find this is the question. Portrait of a Changed Man, Foreign Gospel, we looked at those. Piketty. Okay, let's see. Piketty magazine. Oh! Okay. Grocery stores. Beanie Babies. Okay. Big Sassy Bass issue. Okay, many people consider it a rip-off. A sardonic and sarcastic wit that will leave you reeling. It appeared on the cover of Piketty magazine. Okay. How can we get this? Doc, I need your help. Conspiracy theorists. I did. What was the name of that theory? Okay, I think it was to do with the Roottree conspiracy? Oop. During your initial search, you came across Thomas Overwood's conspiracy page about the Rootttrees. The page still exists and is thriving. The visit count has reached 7 digits. Woo! Many older articles have been replaced. It seems that the recent upsurge in Overwood with constant stream of events. More than one of his theories involves Roottree deaths being faked. Statistically, when you have this many high-profile people who just died in a family. Okay, guy's not dead theory. My eyes have been opened. All of this is beginning to make too much sense. Ron Roottree is still in large. Gwyn Roottree's death was faked. Clark is only there to throw people off. Apparently, this allowed Ron to travel to France to develop a new candy rescue. Can't possibly be a Roottree. One of his first album songs, when he was performing under the Devil name, actually, the Devil name. Ooh. Well, yeah, he didn't know he was a Roottree, you dickhead. If he knew... Idiot. According to Overwood, the author of Six Pieces isn't real. Sam Madsen is an anagram for Am Madness. Oh my god. He claims that by using Six Pieces with Lauren Roottree's book as a one-time pad, he has begun to decrypt a cipher. Most of the cipher seem meaningless, but we managed to pick out words, people, and vastness. There's also a request at the bottom. Next year is a leap year, and Overwood is looking for funds and, alright, Operation R239, RT93. Okay. And Thomas Overwood. Right, Thomas Overwood. Okay. Oh, wait. Carlin Brenner and the Boys. May and Ruby Skull. Chris Raff. Huh. Okay. Alright. I need to ask the duck. Duck? Yeah. Guy's not... Oh, you want me to search for that? I thought it was pretty bunk. Oh, it's got a picture. Guy's Not Dead conspiracy stems from a website that focuses on clues the Rootttrees have supposedly hid. This includes candy wrappers, print... Okay. Guy Hudson was a terrible president and introduced multiple failed products. Something needed to be done that would put the company immediately and instantly back in the favor, so they killed off Guy Hudson. They wouldn't need to kill him off. He could just hand it over. What? Okay. Garnered sympathy, and the company recovered the next year more popular than... Well, I guess to garner sympathy. It would theorize that he was simply Guy Hudson in an elaborate disguise. We run the site are asking for help. They're certain that there's a clue. On their pages, scan of the magazine cover. Cicely Sanchez. Yes! Thank you! You wonderful piece of shit. Alright. Oh, some pictures? But first, let's go here. Okay. Woo. Alright, you claim to have been paid a significant amount to write a book about one of the Rootttrees, Guy Hudson. He was president for a short period at the end of the 70s. She met him at New Year's. The guy liked to throw big parties. He's coming off of changed man. Oh, she was coming off of changed man. Looking for her next project. When his wife learned who I was, she invited me and they cornered me to talk about a book. I finally made it. The book they asked me to write sounded great, but then none of that stuff that made him interesting was allowed to stay. Chop chop, snip snip. Anything with even the slightest threat to a guy's image ended up gonzo. What was the stuff that made him interesting? At his core, Guy was not complicated. In fact, I think I could boil him down to two traits. He wanted to be seen as the second coming of the great Elias. And second, he'd never be satisfied living the life needed to be seen that way. He had his fortune and good looks, and he really liked to exploit that to pick up women. But he couldn't let anyone else know, so it cost him a lot to cover it up. That was the only interesting aspect of Guy. He was James Bond trying to convince people he was Mr. Rogers. Maybe that's not the best metaphor, but Elias Roottree was really boring as all hell and all about family. Except, as we know, he wasn't quite. Guy did everything he could to be seen that way. After I submitted my first draft, he sent me this garbage book, The Roottree Legacy, with Elias on the cover. Last time he and I met, he had even switched out his orange suits for the same green ones Elias wore. And remember fancy flavours? Caviar was a disaster, but it was actually somewhat popular in Brazil for some reason. Oh, maybe because he paid that money to the Brazilian guy. He went to Brazil to open the Roottree Brazil factory. Okay. Copy. I was always hopping around the world trying to recreate that success. I had an out in my contract. Surprisingly, the guy signed the contract my lawyers wrote without running it by anybody else in his legal department. Oh, you idiot. I could put my name off the book at any time, but Guy still got the content. After I left it, probably got a hardcover to convince any real publisher to give it that time. Released it. His family very wisely put a stop to it. Mid-81, months after I'd already moved on, he called me back and showed me a final draft. Do you know how expensive it is to publish one copy of a book? It had my name on it in big, shiny, embossed letters, like all problems in his life throwing money at me was his attempt to win me back. But it had half the page count and the narrative was torn to bits. No thanks. The dinner was good, imported steak that likely cost as much as a month of my mortgage. We all got pretty drunk. He sent his mistress Susie. Ooh, he has a mistress Susie. Sorry. Susie was a mistress of Guy. Into the bathroom to proposition me, poor girl. I remember her from our trips. She was too good for him. Anyway, he died soon after, and that was the last that ever came up. Any insight into the scandals? I actually haven't read it. I just skimmed the sections on Guide to see why people were suddenly calling me up to ask about the man. I'd say she did well for what she had to work with. She only had rumours, whereas I spent time tailing him. Sometimes he knew, sometimes he didn't. He invited me to join them when dealing with Roottree Brazil, but I actually had people on him when he went to Australia, France and China. When he met with someone, I figured out who they were and how they were involved. Holy crap, she did her due diligence. Despite his best efforts, I got the whole truth, including things his family never knew. The daughter of his business partner in Australia, I think her name was Robin, he and she... Ooh. Robin in Australia. Definitely spent a few nights together that he didn't want his family to know about, but I did. Madsen got things wrong? Sam mentions guys' affairs and treats them like most people would logically think to treat them, like the infidelity was a problem for Patricia. When his wife first approached me, though, it wasn't a talk, if you get my meaning. On paper and in public, it was a marriage like any other, but in reality, it was more of a mutually beneficial arrangement. They both got what they wanted out of it, the same thing. His wife, Patricia, was also having an affair. I assume I only had to spell it out so you can get it in writing for your readers. Women. Patricia enjoyed the company of women. With women. Ooh la la. But no babies. Okay, you're fine, Patricia. Patricia enjoyed the company of women, and the swinger scene made that more accessible. I told her I wasn't interested in her and Guy. Found out later that if I had said yes, her next question would have been whether or not her husband actually had to be there too. Guy, on the other hand, was seen in a traditional marriage, and at the same time could bed any woman that found him charming. I can assure you that was exactly the type of marriage he was interested in. So he didn't hate having his wife around. I'm sure it made finding women a bit easier. Roottree Brazil? Okay. Is one of the companies created to manufacture and distribute Roottree candy. Unlike some of the other Roottree Everywhere results, Roottree Brazil seems to be a success. You do some rough translating and find a significant amount of information. Only region in which caviar were a hit. The factory still exists is solely to create that flavour, which comes in its own bag. Alvalagos. Okay. Well, that's good to have on hand. Brazil. Guy. Was there a lot? Okay. Alrighty. Edson Soars. Alright, we'll look into you in a second. The factory was controversial as locals didn't want it there. The Rootttrees visited Brazil around Christmas and managed to break ground on the project. Since then, however, it has been operating relatively smoothly. Incendio de Bordo. An unsuccessful strike. Okay. The Brazil was originally built and ran, according to paperwork at the time, by a small company called Nova Corp. New Brazil Candy Corp. This company no longer exists. Not much information has ever existed, and the Rootttrees now run Roottree. Okay. Let's check out Edson Soars. Former mayor of Alvalagos. Before politics, he was a manager in a automotive factoring plant. Okay. Put in charge by the military government in 1973. He used his manufacturing background knowledge to establish new factories. He became rich. Locals were forcibly relocated. Lovely. Does not make him a popular mayor, I can tell. In what the paper speculates was a move to counteract his popularity, his wife Sonia was discreetly put in charge of a television station called Teleread. He often used his connection to ensure supporters would appear on local TV spouting beliefs and emphasizing his political victories. After his election loss, he fled to stay alive. Okay, so what was his wife's name? Sorry? Sonia. News anchor in Brazil named Flavio Soares, who has a mother named... Okay. Young Brazilian newscaster with a bit of a cult following. Okay, did he have sex with... Okay. Possibly had it on with Brazilian lady called Sonia Soares and had a daughter, had a child, Flavio. Okay. Wow, this is all getting sordid and interesting. There's a website about something called fanfiction that had a small section dedicated to him. Okay. I read a lot of fanfiction. I do know that there is fanfiction based out there based on real life people. It's so fucking weird. I'm sorry if you engage in that kind of content, but you're fucking weird. And you own that. You own that. You know you're weird for that. You know you're weird for that, but it's okay. We accept you. Just know that you're fucking weird. Thumbs up. Alright, sorry. Sorry. I had to go off on that tangent. I've been reading fanfics since I was like... since I had the internet. And found fanfiction.net. And that was quite a while ago. I think I was 16, 17-ish? It would have been around 96, 97. That's quite a while. Yeah. Anyway, it seems that women and men of wide varieties of ages and writing skill tend to find him worthy of inclusion in their stories. Why? Skim some of the tales there and learn that a common thread is that he's currently dating a supermodel named Ashley York. Okay. Many stories either seem to ignore her existence or get her out of the picture rather quickly. Sadly, that is the case when it comes to fan fiction. If there's already an established couple in a story, it's not unheard of for them to get kicked out or booted or somehow misplaced in the storyline to enable self-inserts and shit to come in. That's why fan fiction gets a lot of criticism from people, because yes, there are cases, a lot of cases, where people are just flexing their writing ability and writing about what impassions them, and some of that is cute guys and or girls and the possibility of them existing in their sphere of orbit as somebody better than who they actually are in real life. It's a fantasy. But there are a lot of really good fan fictions out there. But look, if you like a certain, I don't know, game or series or story or whatever, go to like AO3 or fanfiction.net or anything like that and look up your favorite series. Be it Wednesday, One Piece, Naruto, the Black Sails, whatever, right? You'll find a lot of fanfiction, but some of it's really trash. However, if you sort through it and have a little look-see, you might find some treasure. And if you know what you're doing, you're more likely to find a lot of good treasure. I'm just saying, putting it out there for y'all. I'm just, if you feel like reading a what if, that's the best way to go about it. Or character in-depth analysis through the act of fictional storytelling. I maintain that one of the best Harry Potter fanfics I ever read was a Drarry fic. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a Draco Harry ship where they're together. It's gay. Yes. I'm not a fan of Draco Harry. I've never been a real fan of that ship. But this one was really good. It was well written. It had a lot of the stables that came along later on in fan fiction, where Harry had a twin. The twin was the chosen one. Harry was not the chosen one. Harry was abused. I mean, they didn't change a lot of things about Harry's character, but they did redo it in a way to make it very different. Like, for example, Sirius was still a great guy, but Peter wasn't evil. There's a hook for ya. It went a lot more into the pure blood side of things and looking into it took what J.K. Rowling started and just went more in depth and more political and more interesting with it. Instead of the shallow end of the pool, we got to go into the deep end. Look into the different creatures, how they interact with each other in the world of magic, how things are handled between the different races, and it's just really good. By Lightning on the Wave. If you ever want to read it, it's on fanfiction.net. I think it's also on AO3. So yeah, sorry, I'm blushing because I've just outed myself as a huge nerd, and also it's a little warm in here. All right, more traditional fan sites that have listed things about him, including his age, 18, Libra, favorite food grilled steak, and his mother's name Sonia. Golden haired. Okay. British supermodel who does ads for perfume, clothing, and jewelry. Protested by Peter for wearing fur. A young Brazilian news anchor named Flavio Soares. Okay. No, she's a supermodel, so she might be in Teen Blast. Alright, here we go. In it, Teen Blast reporter asked how they met. I was in Rio for Carnival, and he was one of the parade floats. No idea who he was, but I liked what I saw and told my people to invite him to the party I was going to. Felt pretty stupid once I realised we were going to his party. That's cute. She runs a media empire down there named Transimapolo. Oh my. Okay, well, I'll copy that. Starlet. Nothing relevant. We'll just have a little nose poke in the different. No, she's not in there. Not in news time. All right. She's not in Butler Country, of course. All right. Oh. Okay. There's too many results based on one and name drops for anything to be useful. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Oh, I do like this whole thing of just searching through everything, looking for information and shit. Okay, let's go back to Spider Search. Okay, massive media group owned and run by Sonia Alves. So she has shortened her name to Nia. Nia Alves. Nia Alves. Let me try Business Watch. Oh, here we go. Business Watch has mentioned her by name a few times. The most relevant appearance seems to be an article about the struggles of American media companies to do business with their foreign counterparts. Due to lack of freedom speech laws, extremely private. Ooh. This was to shut down a story he was doing about her personal life, including her marriage, was not of her own choice. She essentially had her husband forced upon her as a child bride at 15. The past appearances with her husband have been for show. They do not live together. Nefarious means during Brazil's dictatorship. Ooh, she got money from our boy Guy. Oh, hell yeah. We're putting it together, lads. And lads. And lasses. And leads. And lewds. And lands. I don't know what to call NB people. Lands? Lads, lass, and lands. Have I just done that 3 times? You know what? Fuck it. Alright. Okay. Let's go back to here. Significant inheritance and invested in many different manufacturing businesses. When Brazil began its period of reform, she felt this was the perfect opportunity. Lists her as unmarried. He stays out of the spotlight. He sends a proxy. Sonia Alves. No relevant. Okay, Nia Alves. Okay. Nia Suarez. Okay. Alright, well. Edson. Alright, I'll go back to you in a sec. We have some names to put up on the board. So, Sonia. Sonia. Alves. Right, and she is... Ooh, what is she? She's a CEO, right? And her husband was... Suarez. There we go. What's his name? Edson. Suarez. Okay. And their son's name is Flavio. Suarez. Okay. And we do have a picture of him. He is a newscaster. News anchor. There he is. Okay. And we have a picture of him. I think. Not him. Here he is. To Natasha. I mean, he's not bad looking. I'll give her that. Okay. Here you go. Oh, no, here. Here you go. You are most definitely the man, the myth, the legendo. Alright. Back to here. Close here. What is this? Okay, Cicely Sanchez. The issue of pic tree. Cicely was provided these photos. There is a Christmas tree. Oh. This must be... I don't know who you are. But these are the Suarezes, I'm sure. So... this is a lady. And this is the husband. Unless this is the lady. Oh no, that might be Susan. Susie, right. Possibly? And she was secretary. No, translator. No. Not travel agent. Oh, media mogul is what that other girl is. I'll get back to you. Media mogul. There you go. Unknown occupation. She was a translator, wasn't she? Not a CEO, not a chef, not a comedian, construction dancer, director. No. No, 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 no. No, no. Public speaker? No. Retail? No. Maybe she was a teacher, actually. Didn't she go on to become a teacher? No. Maybe she turned into a principal. That's possible. Yeah, that's possible. Sure. Okay, what if she's in the wrong spot? Possibly not. Possibly not. Yeah, I don't think that's correct though. I think this is fine. We do not have a picture of Christine Farrow yet. Oh, Cicely was provided these photos by Roottree Company. Okay. This must be, well, there's... Oh. So that's Zach. Is that his wife? Huh. Huh. I mean, let's just shove that there. Oh, maybe that's Christine and this is Susan? No. That's much more likely to be Susan, right? Christine. No, I feel like she's, Oh, we have some extra photos of you, you creepazoid. There you go, you creepy fuck. Alright, rubber ducky. Tell me a hint. Huh? Yeah, Oh, right. Yeah, let me go back to the PC. Get out of here. I did mean to look into Tella Reid. Right. Okay, that's fine. Alright, Roottree Brazil. Okay. The Roottree Everywhere initiative. Right. Was there anything else that we wanted to look at? Yes. Let us look at this first. That is the same fucking thing. New Brazil Candy Corp. Let's have a look at that instead. Okay. Let's go look at Business Watch. Nothing related? Piketty? No. Of course not. News Time? No. Alright, fine. Go back. Go back. Go back. Okay. We checked Edward. Let's check the place. Just in case. Jeremy Johnston looked up cities in Brazil that had a lot of manufacturing so he could place a fictional character there. Good job. Oh, so Alvalagos is not an actual place. Okay. Fair. Understood. Good job. Incendio de Borgo. Right. What was that incident? Maple fire. The factory was deliberately attacked in a case of clear ice, and the fire was brought under control after destroying about 2/3 of the production floor. It was rebuilt. Last year, a news special did... Okay. A cut of the factory's profits. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at the Root Tree Everywhere initiative then, shall we? Okay. Mixed success. Roottree has been distributed globally. Alright, started with 4. Roottree Oz. Okay. We are going to be looking into this in the next session. This is important. This is important. We need to highlight this. We can't highlight this. Alright, well, we'll look into that next session, is what we'll do. I've put it on the last thing to check, so... Okay, well, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, take care, have a good day, peace out, and I'll see you next time. Bye!